Yaroslav Askarov is among NHL elite. What else did we learn this week?
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, proudly part of the Locked On Network, the #1 sports podcast network where we cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be talking about what we learned from the past week of San Jose Sharks hockey. We'll talk about why Askrov is among elite company. The offense needs help. More people pulling the rope here. And the special teams might be swapping spots here. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So let's start with, I think, the biggest thing that we have learned, not only this past week, but just kind of this month. Yaroslav Askarov, maybe not terrible at hockey. Right, the first part of the month, a little shaky as a player who's kind of stepping into a new role of being the guy for the San Jose Sharks. Right, first full-time season in the NHL. The weight and I think the responsibility of what he means to the Sharks rebuild and what his potential piece as the Sharks continue to exit this rebuild. And something we talked about a fair amount on this podcast was like, okay, there's a lot of stress and a lot of kind of pressure with that. Askrov though has really found his game, especially if you look at from November 1st on. Askrov has really turned into not just a good goaltender, like among NHL best goaltenders when it comes to stopping the puck. From November 1st, Askarov played 5 games. He has a 1.19 goals against average with a .965 save percentage. He's won 4 games, lost 1. He's allowed 6 goals on 171 shots while playing 302 minutes during that time. Absolutely ridiculous numbers from Askarov this season when it comes to stopping, or this month so far, when it comes to stopping the puck. Just ridiculous numbers from Askarov. So I think though what it means, especially kind of in the grand scheme of things, is all the concerns of Askarov. Is he going to be the guy? What type of player? Did we trade too much for him, et cetera, et cetera? I think it's fair to say that you can probably put those to bed. Even looking at Askarov, so this month, players who've kind of where Askarov stands, just for Wallstedt's also he's on a ridiculous streak right now where he's had 2 shutouts in his past 3 games this season. But Askarov is among the best players in the NHL when it comes to save percentage. Devin Cooley, who played 2 games, Jonathan Quick, who played 1 game, and Jesper Wallstedt are the only players who have a higher save percentage than him for the month of November. And again, Askrov at .965. Cooley, who's played 2 games, has a .967. Jonathan Quick, who played 1 game, has a .970. Like I said, Jesper Wallstedt at .978 with his 3 games played. Askrov with 5 games played so far this season. But I think though the impressive thing is the goals saved above expected, right? And these are the where your goalie is stealing wins for you. All right. And it's fair to say Askarov has stolen a lot of wins for the Sharks so far this month. And This from Jay Fresh on Twitter, who does a lot of advanced stats, et cetera, et cetera. The goals saved above expected leaders throughout the entire all situations, expected goals against minus goals against. The goals saved above expected leaders throughout the entire NHL. This is an all season long. Logan Thompson at 12.9, Jeremy Swayman at 11.5, Artisios of the Penguins at 9.7, Connor Hellebuck, who I think we all can agree is a pretty good goalie, at 9.5, Spencer Knight 9.3, who's off to a ridiculous start for the Blackhawks, and a big reason why the Blackhawks are in the positions they're at. Number 6, Yaroslav Askarov. And remember, this is also accounting for the horrible start Askrov had to the season where he was in a negative goal save above expected. So I think this shows how quickly Askarov has turned this thing around for the Sharks, right? And I think now the big thing is for the Sharks is, one, trying to maintain it as best you can, but two, not overworking Askarov too much. We've heard Ryan Warsofsky say this, right? That's why Nedeljkovic started on Saturday night. Is because they want, you don't want to overwork Askarov, especially a guy who's had a little bit of an injury history, even his time in San Jose. And right, you don't want to burn out your young goalie right away. Look at Dustin Wolf last year, had a great season last year. Look at how Wolf and the Flames are playing now. Of course, they shut out the Sharks this week, but still, I think, right, you're still in this. It's kind of like building up a pitcher in baseball, right, where you want to kind of limit the innings a little bit. And yes, electric stuff, but you're thinking about the long term of the franchise, right? And you don't want to burn out Askarov now, and then in a couple, in a year or two, when you're trying to make a playoff push. Askrov has played too many games over the past 3 years, and we see all the time with goalies, right, where they get burnt out and they get overworked too quickly, too often. I think the Sharks still need to be smart about this with Askrov. So, but so far so good for him, and the way he has quickly and quietly turned this thing around and got his swagger back and making these big time saves and keeping the Sharks in games that they have no business being in. You think back to the Panthers game, right? Where Askarov is just under siege for a majority of that game. The Sharks are able to win that game. The Wild game where, again, one goal on the power play, the Shark keeps the Sharks in that game for the first 40 minutes while they're trying to get something going offensively. Even the Flames game, right, where the Sharks cannot generate any offense, and if it wasn't for Askarov and for the Flames' inability to score the puck, that game could have easily been one of those 6-0 type of games if it wasn't for Askarov, as he was the only player who showed up. So I think is a massive sign for Askarov to be able to put together not just a week of it, but it's been several weeks of Askarov playing to this level. And I think this is all the people who early in the season were like, I don't think Askarov's the guy, et cetera. What did the Sharks do? Da, da, da. I think we can officially put this to bed and move on. And again, do I think Askarov's going to continue at a .965 save percentage? Probably not. That would be some type of NHL record. But can he be among the NHL elites? I think there's a good chance that by the end of the season, we'll be talking about him as one of the best goalies in the NHL if he continues on the path that he is on. And the way he's playing right now, I wouldn't put it past him. I think Askarov is that good, and I think he's going to be mentioned among the NHL elites sooner rather than later. So great news for Askarov. Bad news for the Sharks offense, which has really struggled over the past week or so. So we're going to dig into that, talk about who needs to kind of start pulling their weight a little bit more, and just why the Sharks just need to get just more shots on goal here. So we'll discuss that here in just 1 second. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being at the arena for those opening games. But we know sometimes getting tickets can be a total hassle between surprise fees, waiting in queues, whatever it is. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your favorite team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. We've used Game Time all the time whenever we go up to San Jose to get Sharks tickets. We're going right before Christmas as a holiday tradition for the family to go catch a Sharks game, and we use Game Time to get tickets. It was easy. And with the zone deal, it made it super great. You just pick a section, Game Time picks your seats, and you can save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. I'm also excited to tell you about my favorite pair of jeanswear brand, Doer. I've been living in their performance denim straight jeans, and honestly, they've completely changed the game for me. I love my Doer jeans because, one, they look great, right? It's important that you feel like you look good in your jeans, but two, they're super comfy. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They feel stretchy without looking stretchy, and their Doer jeans combine the classic style of comfort and performance that you get from athletic wear as the best of both worlds. There's a reason why they call them the world's most comfortable pants, but don't take my word for it. Go try on a pair for yourself. Doer opened up a store in Hayes Valley, so you can feel the difference firsthand. Go check them out on 567 Hayes Street. Mention our promo code LOCKEDONSF in store to get 15% off your first order. Or check them out online at shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. All right, before we continue, of course, want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Again, part of the #1 sports podcast network and Locked On. If you haven't subscribed, perfect time to do so, as we are going to have reactions after every game. We have some CUDA coverage coming up this week. We got some interviews planned as well. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. All right. I think the other thing that we have quickly learned from the Sharks this week is the offense needs some help here. And especially the past week where the Sharks team has struggled to score recently. The past 3 games, the Sharks have among some of the NHL worst when it comes to goals for. They had 3 goals last week in 3 games. Not a math guy, but I can do that one. At 1 goal per game. And I've said it a billion times, right? You can't win games 2-1 or 1-0. Like, you have to be able to score goals in the NHL. And the Sharks offense has really kind of come apart here as of late. And I know they're dealing with injuries, right? Jeff Skinner, who's going to be out, presumably for a little while. We'll probably know more on Monday. Michael Misa, who's out, with week to week with his foot injury. Right. You're missing, 2 big pieces there. But the Sharks have really just, you've seen the offense really over the past kind of couple weeks start to slow down a little bit. And I think it's because of a couple of factors. One, they're just not getting enough shots on goal. Right. And that's a big shot attempts, and shots on goal are a big indicator of your offense, right? Because you can't shoot at, 20% as a team. It's not a sustainable formula. So you have to continue to get as many shots on goal as possible. And I think the Sharks sometimes do get a little bit too cute when it comes to that. The Sharks last week, their shot differential. So that's basically how many shots they took versus how many shots they gave up. They were 29th in the NHL last week at -27. So They gave up 27 more shots on goal than they created, right? You can't win games in that way. The only teams that were worse were the Blues, who we know are bad, the Sabres, who are also bad, and the Canucks, which we don't know what this team is, right? It's a tough world to live in where you're constantly outshot and you're just hoping that we can get a little bit better puck luck, right? And you're going to get puck luck, et cetera, et cetera. But like for a team that, has been shooting pretty well when it comes to, like the shooting percentage, it feels like things were really kind of came to roost last week for them. So, getting more shots, like you need to be over 30 shots a game, like that's 10 shots a period, 30 shots a game. That's kind of the goal, right? And if you do that with the hope that you score 1 every 10 shots, that puts you right around 3 goals a game. So we got to get that number up from these like teen numbers or low 20s up to 30. And I think you're going to see much more success. I think the other thing for San Jose here is you got to get contributions from other players. So last week, 7 players registered a point for the San Jose Sharks. Macklin Celebrini had 3. We had 6 players tied at 1. Alex Wenberg, Will Smith, Colin Graff, Sam Dickinson, Tyler Toffoli, and William Eklund all had 1 point last week. You got to get contributions from more players, right? And the Wenberg, I know Eklund just kind of came back, and Eklund's looked really good, but like the Wenberg Eklund line, if it's Graf, like that line needs to produce more, right? Especially with the amount of minutes that they play, and I know that they get a lot of tough defensive assignments, and we just kind of spoke their praises a week ago about how great they have been. The production needs to be more consistent from this line. Tyler Toffoli, right? Toffoli's been a little bit of a slump as of late when it comes to scoring. And I know he's been, got moved down to the 3rd line, but that's another guy who needs to be consistently scoring for the Sharks team. And I think that's why he got moved off the first power play unit right now. We'll see how long that lasts. But guys, you were getting, production from in the bottom 6, your Adam Gaudetts, guys like that. Ty Dellandre, who still has yet to, hit. I think he's got 1 goal this year, right? This bottom 6, which was giving you production has really dried up for San Jose. And I think getting some more production from them and getting some production from the blue line. Which, again, out of all the guys I mentioned there, noted rookie Sam Dickinson was the only defenseman with a point last week, right? John Klingberg, who we've beaten that horse with Klingberg. If you're going to be out on the ice, you at least got to help score points. Orlov has seen his production really dip here as of late. Again, we're going to talk about here in a second, but with Orlov, Klingberg coming back, right? You've seen Orlov's production really fall off here. You got to try to get some more production from the blue line for the Sharks. So I think just getting more shots on goal and trying to get some more production from your other sources other than just Macklin Celebrini doing Macklin Celebrini things. Those are going to be key for the Sharks here. And establishing zone control, getting shots on goal, and keeping that 4-line rolling, I think it will do wonders for San Jose to get more just goal production and especially 5-on-5 production. So especially with the way the power play has been acting up as of late. So we're going to talk about the special teams, which have seemed to swap spots here. As the power play has really struggled as of late, but the penalty kill, maybe they figured something out here. So we're going to discuss that here in just 1 second. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel is live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. I think just Seth Curry doing cool Steph Curry things with Golden State Warriors wins. I mean, usually if Curry's doing Curry stuff, the Warriors are probably going to win. So it keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, before we finish up, do of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. When you're done with this episode, go check out the Locked On NHL Game Night. They cover every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So the special teams, right? The beginning of the season, the power play was on fire. The penalty kill couldn't stop a nosebleed. Now the penalty kill has been extremely good, and the power play has really struggled as of late. So let's start with the power play because we can kind of piggyback off what we just talked about. So I think for the Sharks power play, right, we saw some changes from Warsofsky, and we saw a goal in the last game, but I still think the Sharks should go back to Orlov as the top power play quarterback. I think, as I mentioned before, I just think Orlov has a better handle on, especially with the talent out there, right? When you have Celebrini and when you have Will Smith, and you have William Macklin, and when Tyler Toffoli's up there too, right? Those four guys who have played together for a while, the chemistry, especially between Smith and Celebrini, and Eklund's ability, like Eklund's right there as well. You need someone who can be more of a distributor point guard instead of someone who can be more of a shooter. Not to say like you still need point shots to help keep, them honest. That way they're not just trying to break, not having the defense like just go trying to break up the passes, for the one-timers and stuff. But I think Orlov's just a little bit better of a distributor for it. And I think he's more of just that kind of traditional point guard of like, let me just keep the puck moving, get it to Celebrini, get it to Smith, get it to Eklund, and let those guys do things instead of Klingberg, who I think is a little bit more of a shoot first type of player. And that would be okay if, the shots were more effective. But I think right now it's just kind of putting a wrench in the Sharks power play and the puck movement and how it's supposed to operate. Because the way the power play is supposed to operate is to get like Celebrini's job is to create dangerous passes, like those crossing passes to Will Smith, or have those like that's the whole power play, right? Is Smith and Celebrini playing catch with each other and trying to stretch out the defense as much as possible and open up those lanes and it's when it works, it's very effective, right? Especially with the chemistry that those two have. Right now with Klingberg, it doesn't feel like they're getting the same opportunities with it, and it feels a little disjointed at the moment now. So I would like to see that at least try it for a little bit, especially with the way Klingberg's been playing as of late. I think Warsofsky is more than justified to bump him down to power play 2, where I think it can be a little bit more shoot the puck, like just get pucks on net and try to retreat, right? And retrieve the puck, especially with with all the pieces missing on the second power play with Misa and with Skinner both gone. Like the second power play can be a little bit more meat and potatoes of just get pucks on net, try to retrieve and keep the pressure up. I think with the first power play unit, it's just too sophisticated, and having somebody who is going to just shoot the puck really kind of ruins the flow of it. So again, I'm just an idiot, but that's what I would do. As for the penalty kill has been excellent for San Jose as of late. You look at over this past week, where the Sharks penalty kill is among the NHL best, actually, when it comes to killing off plays, which is killing off penalties, which is something, again, after the start of this season, didn't really expect. They are eighth. Last week, they were eighth on the penalty kill at 89 points, 88.9%. Sorry, excuse me. You had 7 teams who were perfect on the penalty kill last week. The Sharks were 8 of 9, only allowing 1 goal on the power play last week. So much better improved performance from there. I think you've seen the defense kind of gel a little bit better, but I think this also goes back to the guy we talked about in the first segment, right, with Yaroslav Askarov, who's just been absolutely lights out. And if you go back to before the season, right, and I talked about one of the things that Askrov needs to work on this year was his play on the penalty kill. And Askrov on the penalty kill has been so much better than what we saw last year, right? If I spent some time this offseason comparing Mackenzie Blackwood and Askrov, right? And at 5-on-5 numbers, they were pretty similar sample sizes. 5-on-5 numbers, they were really similar, right? I think Blackwood played like 4 or 5 games more than Askrov did last year, but the 5-on-5 numbers were extremely similar. What made Mackenzie Blackwood so good last year was his job on the PK, and Askrov struggled with that. This year, now we're seeing Askrov on the penalty kill be the Sharks' best penalty killer, and Nedeljkovic also the same thing, being the Sharks' best penalty killer, which goes a long way for your penalty kill to kind of right the ship. So we've seen this penalty kill slowly dragging of the depths out of the basement here, and it's starting to get towards mediocre in average. And I think for San Jose, it feels like they've kind of found the right combination of guys out there. Especially with Colin Graff and Delanger, who I think, like, every time Graff is out there for a penalty kill, it feels like he's going to potentially break one. You're seeing Goodrow kind of on that second unit, and then I like what Warsofsky's been doing, where he's been putting Celebrini, if he gets a chance, Celebrini out at the tail end of the penalty kill, especially with Eklund, where as soon as the penalty kill is over, then the Sharks can kind of take advantage there, right? Of especially with a team coming off a power play that doesn't score, right? You use up most of your top 6 guys there, and you're going to have, usually kind of a bottom 6 players as that next shift. Well, that gives out Celebrini an opportunity to kind of take advantage there, right? Where he's going against lesser players, and especially if he's got Eklund out there, where those 2 guys can really push and try to make an effort to counterattack for San Jose. So I think, though, from the start, like, just finding the right guys, I think is, and just getting a little bit more chemistry with who's out there and what they're kind of asked of. And when Muka Madulin's out there, I think he's a big boost to the penalty kill, as well as just a defenseman who can clear the crease. I think that, but a lot of it comes down just to the goaltending, which has just been so much better over the past couple of weeks compared to what we saw beginning of the year. So I think this penalty kill can still kind of be, somewhere in the middle of the NHL, which I think would be that's a perfectly cromulent goal for the Sharks to just have an average penalty kill this year. But this power play needs to find some juice here if the Sharks want to, again, find some more offense. And I think trying the personnel in the top unit, I'd like to see that swapped up a little bit here. And just trying to get more pucks on net, I think, for the Sharks is go a long way in them to hopefully see some of their scoring issues clean themselves up here. So, but that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow. Going to do some CUDA talk. So have a guest lined up where we're going to talk some Barracuda. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok, Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until tomorrow. Bye, friends.